Greetings, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Way of the Showman, where we view the world through the lens of showmanship. I am Captain Frodo, and I will be your gracious host and guide along the way. And over the last months, we have changed the format up a little bit of the way, these podcasts, and I don't talk so much about myself and my personal goings on, and it has been pointed out to me that a few of you was enjoying those aspects of the podcast, so I thought I'd do this little catch up, as if we'd made ourselves a campfire along the way, and we can sit around it and just catch up, tell each other the stories of what's happened since we last time spoke like this. Obviously the whole concept is a little contrived, since I will be doing most of the talking, at least on this recording, but inside your mind you can respond, and if you have anything to say that you would like to share, then you can send it in an email to thewayoftheshowman@gmail.com, or you can send me an audio recording, and then we could play it here and I could respond on air in a future Campfire episode. Alright, there I go, coming up with a new idea, live on air. But yeah, man, though, as we sit here around warming ourselves again with our backs against the dark and our faces against the fire, I am so tired of talking about the pandemic. There are so many conversations, there were and there is so many conversations that I was and am engaged in. And by conversations I mean not just word conversations, but conversations that I was engaged in with the show that I was in Vegas, and conversations we were having about the future that, it wasn't a future that seemed like anything, it was just what was going on in our lives. And I'm so bored of that conversation about hand sanitizer and distance, social distance, and now here where we are doing shows in Norway, to constantly be thinking about the meter and who is in our cohort to sit backstage or not, or sit. It is a conversation that has been thrown upon all of us, and I am so bored of it. I never wanted to talk about hand sanitizers, and now it seems to be this thing that we're all talking about, and face masks and whatnot. So boring. I wish it was done, but the repercussions of it is still hitting me and hitting everyone. And I was listening to, I think it was episode 107 of the Hideaway podcast, where Josh and Lindsay, the excellent hosts of that interview style podcast, for those who don't know it, should check it out, and they were talking about, I think it was Lindsay that had brought up this idea of lost futures, because I was just talking now about the future that we had when we were in Vegas, not a future that we were wondering about. It's just like any other thing that happened in your life, it's just moving ahead against an imagined horizon. I'm always got my head a little bit ahead of where I am. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do in next week? And what are we going to do next month and next year? You have these vague things, and we all had those plans, and we all had those ideas of what we were going to do. And it didn't feel like anything. It just felt like the next thing. But that future is now a lost future. And that was what Lindsay was talking about. This, we all have lost futures. And when she said that, and Josh and her talked about it, it made me think of, I like the future of the 60s and 70s, that spacecraft, even the 50s, when we were going to go to the moon, what Walt Disney was talking about, and we saw at the Epcot Center. I never saw it, of course, but I saw the films, the 8mm films that showed what it looked like in Disney World and Disneyland. That kind of future, when the rockets looked like what Tintin goes to the moon in, and that future was awesome. When cars were aerodynamic and looked really cool. That future is something that I'm nostalgic for. Or future where the Moog synthesizer became even more of a permanent fixture of the pop soundscape, or even rock soundscape. Yeah, that's the future I might have liked. But back to my own future, which has disappeared, the future in Vegas, it just very quickly, when it shut down, another 2 days of pay, and then we were on our own. So we basically left America as economic refugees, where the visa that I had, I can't work anywhere else than with the company that brought me to Vegas, Spiegelworld, because of that visa. So we couldn't make any more money. Their initial estimation that we would be shut for 3 weeks was a little bit what is it called? Understated. I think the show is opening again in September. So that's at least exciting. But with that comes the fact that in the last couple of months, together with my family, we have decided to stay on in Norway. So the future that was lost in America, that was lost in Las Vegas. A lot of things are lost in Las Vegas, I guess. Whereas a lot of people's dignity and my anyway, the future that was lost in Las Vegas is now no longer the future that we want to pick up with. Because as we went to Norway now, things have changed. Family that I have here, those things have become more important. When you get to my age, then your parents are at an age where, you gotta consider that we're not all gonna be around forever. And coming here and seeing everybody, it's been really nice. That's not to say that it hasn't been quite challenging to just up and leave at the worst time in history to be doing shows and take care of your family as a performer. But I have transitioned into this new future. The future is lost, and that will go the way of the space race. That future that looked like it was coming in the movies in the 60s, fueled by the Moog synthesizer soundscapes, that has gone. It still lives on in me as a positive thing, but I don't think it's going to come around again anytime soon. But who knows? Who knows? We can cross our fingers, and who knows what's going to happen with Las Vegas and me. But for now, we are going to err on the side of caution. Because although it seems like here in Norway now the things have gone better, we just opened up a little bit more, and we can now sell 30 more tickets than we could just last week. So, incremental, but that means we're now at 50% capacity, and that's pretty excellent. Still remain sold out. Those 30 tickets have been going, so that's very positive. But meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, Sydney in Australia closed down, and now Melbourne as well. And that just leads to, after so many lockdowns down there, it is hard to imagine the hardship that people have already endured and that they now have to go through again. Those plans and those things that have already come to fruition that was just going to happen in the next few weeks or the next month, they're all crushed, and things are being shut down once again. Closer to home, in the last couple of days, Denmark has just gone red again, and you can't go to Denmark from Norway. The implications that has for people here are also very real. So it is still very fragile. Everything is very fragile, and I count each day here, even though I'm working 12 shows a week with only one day off. I'm haven't gotten to a point where I am wishing for more days off. I'm just happy to be working, and I'm glad to be alive and healthy, even if it has been a very dark winter. And I was talking about the possibility of doing some work in Helsinki over Christmas, and that when we would, they were saying, oh yeah, you just drive to Sweden and then you take the ferry. And I was like, I'm not, maybe I'm a bit of a sissy, but I feel too fragile to want to go via Sweden. And then 2 days later, and Denmark is shut down, so maybe Sweden is going to be shut down in the same time. It's a rough thing. But anyway, it's been very good. It's been very good to be involved in a show and to be awake again. Good for my self-esteem. It brings me back online as a person, because during the winter I've sort of gone into a kind of hibernation, working at the school as a teacher's assistant, and had a great time doing that. I do believe that there is such strong correlations between what the teacher does, this I've talked about before, but in standing in front of a group of people, delivering some material in a carefully crafted structure to gain some sort of understanding in them. And that seemed to work. I had a very good time, and the people that I worked with were excellent. And I spent the free available brain time to write a book, which is currently coming out every second week here. No doubt you're listening to that as well. And those fruits are coming to fruition now here. Those seeds are coming to fruition, and that is a very good thing. But I think I have a strong tendency to go inside myself and get lost in my own creations, my own grand patterns of thought and ideas. I made 2 shows, one which I talked a lot about a few episodes ago when I talked about my process, and I've also made some other shows as well, more family oriented ones, and I think I've gotten lost in that, and I thought perhaps that my fear of wanting to take gigs in other countries, that was maybe a hangover of this nervousness that has arisen in this dark winter that we've had. But maybe now that Denmark shut down again and Australia just shut down, that my fears might not have been quite as unfounded, that I'm not paranoid, might be the word that I'm looking for. I am working in a theme park here in Norway, and it's a gloriously beautiful theme park, and one section of the theme park is based on the work of a hugely important cultural figure called Torbjørn Egner, a kind of, some of you might know of the Thing, which is children's literature from Scandinavia, and possibly the most famous one is Astrid Lindgren, who wrote about Pippi and Emil and Pippi Longstocking, that is. Anyway, this Torbjørn Egner is kind of like that, I guess, for Norway, and he has written several books, and they're all, like, I think it's so long ago that it's a huge part of the cultural landscape of Norway is this guy's books, and the things that the little mice, or in the story that I was going to be talking about a bit here, about the town called Cardamom Town, they all the characters in there have an ethic to what they do. They're good people, even though the story that I'm going to be talking about here, which is not about the little mice, which is called Hakkebakkeskogen, this is called people and thieves in Cardamom Town. And the show that I am in is a show that is based around what happened after the book, in a way. And it's the only time in history that anyone has been allowed to continue on the story. Not that we're really continuing on much of the story, but it's like you've taken the drawing, because this guy Torbjørn Egner, who was writing the books, was also illustrating his own books and writing the songs, and he, in one of those drawings, he drew this tent, because one of the three thieves in this book, they get caught by the police, and then in an act of redemption, there's a fire in a tower where the old man who tells the weather lives, and the thieves come out and help rescuing him and save the day, and in that get rehabilitated and get what is it called? They rehabilitated from being thieves and become something else. And this act of redemption, where one of them becomes a fireman, one of them becomes a baker, I think, and the last one, key to this story, he becomes the director of a circus. The thieves have a lion, and in this show here now, the lion features, and it's in the book. He's made a painting where you can see this circus tent that Jesper, this redeemed ex-con who now is making a circus. This is the main feature of the park. They've built this little town here in the park, and on a little hill they have put the tent up overlooking this gorgeous recreation of the drawings in this children's book. And when I went on the radio to talk a little bit about this, I presented the story to the people on the radio as when they asked me what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to go to this park, Dyreparken in Kristiansand in Norway, and I'm going to be working with that guy, the guy that ex-con. He was in prison, but then he sort of reinvented himself, rehabilitated as a circus performer, and I'm going to be part of his circus. And the people did not, on the radio, didn't get what I was talking about, because that's not normally how you think of this story, that a thief becomes a circus director, or gets his own circus and becomes a productive, valuable citizen. That's not something that you really take seriously when you read the book, because as a child, when you read the book, you get to hear it from the point of view of the thieves, and they only steal just what they need and maybe a little bit of chocolate for the lion. So they're very nice people, and you know that, but of course the people in the town think that they're bad people, but it turns out that they are actually very nice. And I think that thing, as important as this author is, these ideas, I think, seeps into the folk soul of the Norwegian people. The chief of police, who is in a beautiful childlike naivistic way, he is also the one who makes the laws, and in fact there is only one law, and the law in Cardamom Town is that man skal ikke plage andre, man skal være grei og snill, men for øvrig kan man gjøre hva man vil. You shall be nice and kind and not bother anyone else, but apart from that you can do whatever you want, and that shall be the whole of the law in Cardamom Town. So it's, he'd been thinking about that for a long time, and then he wrote that down, that chief of police. But the powerful thing of the redemption is that I feel this is a story of redemption. Maybe it is because I have been cooped up in my own mind, and I've been thinking these thoughts, and I look at the world the way I do through my writing that you hear in my podcast and whatever. But this is the story that is being sold to the population of Norway. People are coming in droves to this park now. Obviously with Corona, people can't really go anywhere else, but it's always very well attended. And this park has another main attraction, and the other main attraction, show-wise, is a pirate show. And I love this, that this is what the young generation of Norwegian children they come to the park, and in the park you get to be with pirates, and you get to identify with the pirates, which is slightly on the low side of life, I guess. Pirates being pirates and robbers and thieves. And then you can go and see the circus featuring an ex-con, which is doing an act, metamorphosis sub-trunk illusion together with the chief of police. Now, if that's not coming full circle and giving hope for those who have come out on the wrong side of the law or hanging out with bad people, then I don't know what. And then, of course, there's the show with all the good stuff. And a lot of these people are working more in traditional circuses, and that is always a great experience for me. One of the guys here, an older gentleman, must be like 72 or 73, whose parents ran a circus from obviously before he was born. This is his 70th consecutive season of circus without missing a single season. And I was impressed with hearing that. Of course, he's done everything and whatever, but partly why I was impressed was that he didn't even miss last year, because he was here in this park. And from the social media feed that I have, it's like this was one of the few shows working anywhere in the world. They were all under restrictions and all that, but they didn't miss a show. So he's 70 seasons in, and that's always lovely. Someone like myself who don't really see themselves changing any major league. I will probably be a showman for the rest of my life, and it's lovely to see someone else who is doing that and have been doing that, and to see that it is possible, even when you're 70, to do a sweet bike act and cycle a mini bicycle and unicycles and all the different things that this man can do. It's very encouraging. So, as a few thoughts on where it is that I am at the moment in working in a park. And yeah, we've decided to stay in Norway, so much so that we're getting a dog. The dog is actually coming with my family. My wife just got the vaccine, and she's in the town where we live, and they're now coming back down here with my daughter and the dog. And the dog's going to move into the caravan here, and it's all very exciting to be living in a caravan again. And there's a beautiful little lake nearby where we go swimming, and we can of course go in the park as part of the thing. So in terms of family-wise, to be living 2 months in the caravan, working in a circus in a beautiful park with swimming, water slides and all this, it's a very good thing for the family. And I guess that is what I have decided to, or come to, as the best option for this new future. Not the glitz and glamour and the high speed and high action adult entertainment. No, adult entertainment, that'll have come to mean something else. That's not really what I'm part of, but entertainment for adults, grown people, what we were doing in Las Vegas. And now there's much more creativity that needs to go into it over in this end of it. I need to change all these different things. Oh, here comes an acrobat walking by, yelling in. It's almost time to go to work here. But anyway, you can maybe hear the cars as they go past our digital analog campfire. But anyway, what was I saying? Getting back to this idea of the lost futures, as the world comes back online, which it will do, even if it takes longer. This is the new normal. It won't be like it was before. I don't know if it ever will be completely like it was before, but at some point this thing will wear out, just like the Spanish flu wore out after some time. But we will probably be putting hand sanitizer on and doing all this stuff for a long time yet. So as we have lost these futures, we have had a lot of time to think, and in this time we must ask ourselves whether we want to go back to as close to possible to this lost future, or whether we want change. In the interim, have you been changed? Have you spent this time for introspection, or have you changed your opinion on what you do, or has the stuff that you have been doing in this time in between, has it impacted on you in ways that then need to be reflected? Because it certainly has on me in many ways. But first and foremost, it's that I do not take my job for granted anymore. The fact that I'm here in the park and I'm doing 12 shows a week, that is tiring, but I haven't lost this feeling of being grateful that we're getting to do this. Standing in front of an audience and making them laugh, like properly laugh. And this is an excellent family show. And a family show is, I say that with the utmost respect for what it actually is. It is not a show for children. It is not a show for adults. And I have done a lot of adult shows lately, and what I feel like I have been doing with the work that I did in Circus Barnley, 2 years of touring in Denmark, and with Captain Frodo's Magic Circus, it is to do a show which has the adults fully laughing and being fully engaged, and also having the children being fully engaged. The children think they are the focus, and the adults, they see that the children are the focus and are delighting in seeing it happen. Another mention from that same podcast of Hideaway Circus, where they talk about a new show that they're doing, which is sounding very exciting, an outdoor show. Anyway, they're saying they're talking about the Pixar movies, where the adults are really enjoying them and the kids are enjoying them just as much. That is the challenge of the family show, and that is what we're doing here. And in this odd sense, then, this all wraps around to how my own private show of my little family is a family show. It needs to be right for the littlest one, and it needs to be right for all the adults. And at the moment, the most right future for us seems to be here in Norway. It's been a strange time, and this has been it's been like on the horizon as a something that would be nice, but with the loss of one future, another future that we did not imagine possible has opened up. So never so bad it's not good for something, as one of the characters in another Egna story says. Who knows what will happen? Well, nobody knows. And it's good for me to keep in mind that the solid ground that I'm seeking, it's not really still. It's still ocean. It's still really moving. But I'm not lost. Because nothing which is truly alive is still and frozen. It's always in constant movement. This persistent flow is a sign of life. And we can always try to go back to as close to the niche that we were in before. But we can also accept the changes that have come, take them on, and move on into a new future. So I guess that's what this Campfire tale has been about. Now, as I come to the end of that, I would love to hear what you have to say. Tell me your tales. Whether you send it on an email to thewayoftheshowman@gmail.com, or you drop me a line, or you record a little voice message and send it as a file, or perhaps I can get to see you along the way. Until then, I'll bid you farewell, and I'll say take care of yourself and those you love, and I hope to see you along the way.